All right, trying a live stream again. I haven't tried that in a bit. Let's see, is the mic picking me up? Situated for a minute. I can always trim this later, but I probably won't. All right, and we don't want it to cut off, so I'll turn on the internet. Put it up in its place. All right, feel more in frame here. Hey guys, I owed you a video for this week. Sorry I missed Sunday. I wasn't feeling very well. Wasn't really up for shooting and then editing and all that. But I didn't want to leave anyone hanging all week, and it's the All-Star break, so there's basketball going on, kind of, but it's not the same as having like fantasy basketball. So now is a great time to start getting ready for the fantasy playoffs. So I had made a worksheet. If you should see it in the details below, I pinned it as a top comment. I also threw it in the chat. So I made a worksheet for Google Sheets, so you can go on and then save that as your own and start to customize it. I'll talk more strategy and stuff like that, but here's kind of the tools I wanted to give you. And I specifically wanted to make sure I got out during All-Star break because I'm hoping maybe you get a jump on it, or if people are texting during the dunk contest, 3-point contest tonight, it gives you a good chance to maybe start talking to people, because I feel like the way to really win some leagues is make some trades right now. So if you click that link, you'll see, since I'm live, I can't show you my thing, but there's a Yahoo tab and an ESPN tab. I've got the default playoff set up there. So for ESPN, it's a 2-week playoff matchup for the top 4 teams. They're marked there in red, weeks 21 and 22, 23 and 24. As a funny side note, I tried to Google search the defaults on ESPN, and their own webpage, like their FAQ, has the playoffs listed wrong. I had to check with their bot and check with Sport, because I'm not in an ESPN league this year. But I confirmed that those playoff weeks are correct in those matchups, and I went ahead and put the totals there. So on the surface level, you can just look at the games remaining and who you really want for the matchups, right? So Utah has like the best schedule if you're playing in the ESPN default playoffs, because they have 15 total games. No one else has that. So they get 8 games in that first 2-week matchup, which is awesome. So this is similar to how we always talk about the schedule, especially for weekly lock leagues, every Sunday when I put out the videos. But here you really want to plan ahead, even for the daily change leagues. It's really going to give you an advantage if you have someone who plays more games. So if you have Bradley Beal and the Wizards play 14 games in this 4-block stretch for ESPN, that's going to give you a big advantage. So you want to look at the total numbers, but also, how many people are playing each week. So if I'm now switching my tab over to Yahoo, I'm going to talk a bit more about, seems to be more questions about that, and I play more Yahoo. So the Yahoo default is 6 teams. The top 2 get a bye week. And so it's weeks 22, 23, 24. So it's a little bit different. So your totals are a little bit different. It also brings in a couple other interesting wrinkles because of the bye week. So I made this worksheet, and the first column A, is for your opponent. I want you to take this, save the sheet off as yourself, go look at your leagues. Obviously, you can copy the tab and fill in who you're going to play for the remaining, if you're on Yahoo, the remaining 4 weeks of the schedule. And then obviously you don't necessarily know your playoff matchups, but that's something else we want to look at. So for weeks up till week 22, you can go ahead and fill in who you've got left, in case you're trying to claw your way into the playoffs and you really got to stack your schedule and make sure you win to get in, and then hope you can throw some upsets as the 6th seed or 8th seed if you're playing in a deeper league, however it's going. So I want you to take this and do some work. Now, the general idea, right, as we're looking at the schedule, we want to know the total games. If you're in Yahoo, you also want to think about the bye week. If you're sitting pretty, if you're a favorite to make it in the playoffs, then you're going to want to consider the fact that, say, week 22 in Yahoo, if you're going to get a bye, well, the 4 games that Atlanta has doesn't really help you. And Atlanta only plays 3 games the next 2 weeks. So if you're on bye and Trey's going to be sitting down, now, don't get me wrong, I don't want you making any moves where it's like trading Trey Young for peanuts or something like that. But there can be value in moving a superstar for another superstar if it's going to help you out, especially if, someone else is trying to get in now and you're trying to give them a little boost, or, and we'll talk about a little more, if you're trying to weaken your opponent. So you can go ahead and look at the regular schedule, fill in your opponents, and then we can kind of talk about this as over the next few weeks as we're all getting ready or looking at trades, things to consider, stuff like that. So the teams for Yahoo, because I have the Yahoo sheet up, with the best schedules, right, who are playing 11 total games. We've got Pacers, Lakers, Grizzlies, Minnesota, Philly, the Suns, Kings, Spurs, Raptors, Jazz, Wizards. All right. So it's a pretty good chunk. The only true stay away, and I said it a couple weeks ago, the Bulls. The Bulls have a terrible schedule. A couple weeks ago, I said, hey, try and get out of there. Now, if you're trying to claw your way into the playoffs, right now, the Bulls are actually pretty good. We're about to have 3 games coming out of the All-Star break. I think they're the only team that has that in the league. The next week, they've only got 2 games, so that kind of sucks. But then you get 4 and 4 before you hit the playoffs there. Or if ESPN, you get 4 in that first. But still, on ESPN, when you have 4 weeks of playoffs, the Bulls are still the worst team. So whether you've got Zach LaVine and you're like a good team and you want to get rid of him, or sorry, is the mic picking me up? Yeah, okay. I just had to look for the green dot. Make sure it's there. Okay. Sorry, got distracted by doing the live. Haven't done a ton of them. So you want to move your Bulls. If you don't have a big name, then Chris Dunn can be a good throw-in as you're trying to like grease the skids to make a different move. If you get rid of these guys and try to unload them. Something else to consider, and I don't talk about a lot in the weekly schedule videos I do, but I know it's important for the daily change leagues, where you look at quality games. When you're looking at a 9-game slate, 10-game slate, if you're in a daily change league, you're not going to play these lower guys. Chris Dunn might not ever make your rotation for certain things, but you can rotate him in to get those steals. That's something else you want to consider when you're looking at these total weeks. You got to go ahead, and this is pretty elaborate. Like, we're thinking ahead 5-6 weeks, but that's also a way to get an advantage. You might want to go ahead and look and see, which teams have good games or bad games as far as the quality games. So I went ahead and looked at that. Week 23 for the playoffs for both Yahoo or ESPN. Well, for anywhere, but Yahoo and ESPN. There are no quality games. All of the days with games are stacked. But if you're looking to like attack a couple teams where they're going to have some advantage, the Kings, Rockets, and Portland, if we're looking at the lower down guys, the ancillary pieces, those teams in general are going to have some great matchups. So now, does that mean, that Eric Gordon's an automatic play or something just because he's on the record? Not necessarily, but something to consider. If you're looking at waivers for the next couple of weeks, just scribble down a piece of paper, put a post-it note. Kings, Rockets, Portland are the teams with the like best quality games. So if you're picking up a waiver, you're trying to, a tiebreaker for what you're going to do for the playoffs here. Oh, I see someone open the spreadsheet. Cool. Teams to avoid if you're thinking of ancillary pieces in the daily change league specifically, lacking quality games in general. So Boston, Brooklyn, Chicago, which we already talked about, Miami, New York, and then Indy and the Suns don't have a lot of quality games, but they have great playoff schedules. So it's kind of a mix. I named them already for the best schedule. So if you've got your superstars and you're going to play them, that's great. But if you're trying to pick up some ancillary pieces to like, get a block specialist or steal specialist, those Suns and Indiana players probably aren't going to quite make your lineup. It's just something to consider. Okay. So I rattle off the team. You guys can see the worksheet. You can save it for yourself. Then, whether you want to tweet at me, leave comments, even post a chat, whatever. We can talk about that now or the upcoming weeks, but something to get ready for. But beyond knowing what you have, right? Sorry, I got to flip my page here. So say I'm looking at my total games and I'm saying, okay, I've got Luka. Well, Dallas has 10 games in the playoffs for Yahoo. I'm looking at the 3-game week. I'm going to focus mostly on that one, but if you're playing in the ESPN 2-week thing, you could look at that. So Luka has 4 games in the first week and they place 3-3. So no one in the playoffs besides Brooklyn actually has a 2-game week. So no one's like a complete stay away. But while Luka's got 10 games, which isn't the best because you don't have, say, 11, his 4-game week falls in that first week. If you're about to get a bye because you have Luka and he's awesome and he's helped carry your team to win, you're going to waste like his best week. That doesn't mean you have to move him, but it's something to consider when you're looking at this or looking at trades for other teams. So Luka versus Beal, just in the abstract, you're going to get an extra game out of Beal. because he plays a whole extra game, and it's going to be the same way even with the bye, because if you're in championship position or getting the bye week, Atlanta, Chicago, who's already not great, Dallas, Golden State, and New Orleans are the teams with the weakest. They only have 3-3, so you're only going to get 6 games out of these guys. So you're not going to have a great championship run, unlike say Brooklyn, Indiana, Phoenix, that are more valuable. If you want to go, if you're in a good team, Karis LeVert, you can go trade for Karis LeVert, get 4 games those last 2 weeks. That could really help your championship chances. So there's value in there, and you're going to get that bye week. That 2-game week doesn't hurt you. It's also nice that Brooklyn has a bunch of games coming up, so it can help you with your playoff push too. So, jumping back to the sheet, I left column A available for you to fill in your opponent. Go ahead and put your opponent's name in there so you can start looking at that. I left an empty spot across the top above the team name, so above Atlanta, Houston, whatever you're looking at, so that you can kind of go ahead and put a little star or dot or asterisk, whatever you want, a player's name for your team, so you kind of know what you're looking at or maybe who you'd want to target. So it's your sheet. Obviously, you can tweak this any other way you want to keep things going, but this is kind of the start of it, right? Beyond knowing your schedule, by getting to look at your opponent, here's where you can win twice in a single deal to help yourself and hurt someone else. So for the playoff, for any week, if you're playing head to head, especially in categories, 8 category, 9 category, you're really just trying to win 5 categories, right? Maybe you didn't punt all season, but now you've had a season to look at your team and see where you're really strong. So it's important to take stock of, hey, what's working, what's not. Is someone hurt and I don't have all the assists I thought I would? Okay, I'm still winning, but this is a problem. Also, look at the other top teams. Look at the likely playoff contenders and see where they're strong. If you're middle of the pack in free throws and someone's really strong, there's something you might want to look at there. Whether you just stay the course, it's totally fine. You don't have to rock the boat. But you could decide that's the category I should punt in. I should move this guy, get out of the free throw and pick up someone who's more dominant in blocks or something like that. Or you could specifically target your opponent. So find the person that you're kind of afraid of with the free throw matchup and make a fair trade, fair on the surface anyway, that gives you a statistical edge for the playoffs. So you want to pick up not just extra games, but also an advantage by giving them the weaker games. So say we're talking, I'm just throwing out names here. Say they have Beal and you have Jason Tatum. Well, Boston plays 3-4-3 and Washington plays 4-4-3. So if you've got the bye week, it's the same. They both play 4, they both play 3. You're not getting any kind of advantage there. But if you don't have the bye week, or you're not sure that you're going to get that, or your league doesn't even play with a bye week, then Washington has an advantage. You get a whole extra game by getting Beal. And if you think you're the up and comer, you're going to be the 6 seed trying to take down the 1 seed. Well, if you did a swap of Beal for Tatum, you are giving your opponent a 3-game matchup when you have a 4, and it's something to look at. It's actually really great for teams who are trying to claw their way into the playoffs. Right now, you can look at who's left on your schedule. We've got 3 or 4 weeks left in the regular season. Look who you're facing. Now that you know what week you face them, who are you playing in week 19? Trade them a Bulls player. They've only got 2 games. Trade them a Kings player. If you want to take them down and you move a player, put them on your opponent's team. I'm sorry, I said Kings. Spurs. The Spurs have a 2-game week there on week 19. If you can send Bulls and Spurs to them, or if whoever you're playing in week 21, you send them, I don't know who anyone will want from Detroit, but no, people are excited about Christian Wood and stuff like that. There's a bunch of teams that only have 2 games in week 21. When you're trying to get that last playoff spot, send that specifically to the opponent you're competing with, right? You still want to do a trade that looks good and a trade that's going to help your team, but you want to be playing chess while they're playing checkers, right? So you want to look and say, all right, I'm going against Bob. Not only do I want this player, it's going to be a better fit for my team. I can sell this Toronto player and give him a 2-game week when we face each other. And now he can't play Pascal against me. So you could swap superstars and not realize, that you're kind of turning the knife on him. It can give you a really big advantage. So you want to trade to improve your schedule. But if you can make that deal to hurt someone else's schedule, it could be everything. Like this could really change your game. Obviously, I'm not saying you have to trade away your entire team just to do it, but something to consider if people aren't, I've done trades like this. I've won trades like this. And I've lost trades like this, right? We've gone the whole season with superstars and suddenly you're trying to we're going back years, but you're trying to flip Dwayne Wade for Dirk because Dirk has center eligibility and has a better playoff schedule. And that will win leagues. Like it completely shifts everything because you get the extra advantage. Or if you're in that bye week and you've got the superstar, he's not going to help you anymore and you're floating towards it, right at your deadline. So the Yahoo default deadline is February 26th. ESPN is February 23rd. I put both of that on the spreadsheet. Obviously, your leagues could be different. So you got to check your custom settings and make sure that's up to date. But I want to get this tool out here. Like I said, now it's the All-Star weekend because there's an extra good chance that you can sit there and text with buddies. Oh, did you see this dunk? Aaron Gordon did this tonight, whatever. And, is anyone actually watching the All-Star game? Although that's the best way to kind of start bringing up the trades now, and knowing who your opponent is helps you when you're in that giant group chat, talk about stuff of hey man, I was looking at certain things. How attached are you to Miles Turner? You don't have to swing for the home run on everyone. So sure, great players to target, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Ben Simmons. I keep using Beal in examples and stuff like that, but Gobert's got a good playoff schedule. Donovan Mitchell's got a good playoff schedule, but it depends on what's going to fit your team if you got the bye weeks and your overall standings. So I wanted to bring that up to start looking now, start helping people think about how do I consolidate my categories? If you can win all 9, great. You don't have to start punting stuff, but it can be an advantage if you do need to make that move. If some weeks you're getting rebounds and some weeks you're getting assists, maybe you need to switch to a bigger lineup or a smaller lineup, right? And while you're looking for your trade partners, you want to think about picking up the extra games and sending out the bad games to key opponents. And if you start now during the All-Star break, they might not be looking at it. You're getting to start a week and a half, 2 weeks before your trade deadline. Start kicking the tires on these things. Start seeing, how attached someone is to Davis Bertans. You can pick up all those threes, play him as a big man. And now you've switched to a 3-point shooting team with, better percentages or something like that, depending on what you're sending out in your big man spot. All right, I see a few people in chat, but no one's posting questions. If there are, happy to take them. But otherwise I could probably just wrap it up here. Spreadsheet will be available for anyone, who wants to go. And obviously this video is here for rewatching and stuff like that. I'll be back to do my normal schedule videos, looking forward to doing the weekly matchups. I also want to look ahead to be more specific. I've rattled off some names here or there, but I kind of want to put together, if I've got time, who I think we specifically should trade for or away. Because I might not get out before the All-Star weekend. I guess I'll throw this here. There's a spoiler for, I wanted to do a trade away thing. And my headliner was, if you've got Zion and you're ready for the playoffs, I think you should trade Zion right now. He's great and he's fun to watch, but he did awesome going into the All-Star break. His free throw percentages come up, but he's not getting any threes. He's not getting a full block or steal per game, whether we look at the 2 weeks or the season long. He's only playing. I'm not dogging the guy. He's great and he's fun to watch, but I don't think he's going to help you win the championship. And if we look at the playoff schedule coming up, it's a 4-3-3 on Yahoo. So if you've got the bye week, you're only going to get 3 and 3 games. You don't know when he's going to be resting. And right now, the Zion hype is so high. It's a great time to try and make that move this weekend. Well, there's no other games happening. It's a great time to try and get those trades out there over the All-Star break because no one's going to get hurt. You can look at who's coming up in hot or coming in cold, and you kind of have the whole NBA in a bubble here for trying to make these deals. So if you can start the talks now, even if you don't finalize it before the games start, I find it gets a lot easier. In general, if you're trying to claw your way in, and I don't know if I said it right, Detroit, the Clippers, and Toronto have the weakest just total games remaining. So whether you're looking at it from, I just need to win to get into the playoffs, or the whole season, all of it, it's still something to consider here. Because if you get 20 games out of Christian Wood, but 24 for someone, on Brooklyn or Utah, that makes a huge deal. And like I said, Utah and ESPN playoffs where they've got the 2-week head-to-head. Like they have a significant advantage with Utah. And there's some players you can target there. You know, even if you aren't moving to go pick up like your superstar, even your ancillary pieces, you can start making some swaps here where, yeah, they look the same, or you're giving up, you know, based on average, 30-day average or season average, maybe you're giving up 10 spots, but it not only helps your categories, you're going to get those extra games. And if you can kind of sneak in a dud to your opponent when you're going to play them, it really makes a difference here. Because if you can do a couple here, a couple there, that will snowball. And that's how you can kind of maneuver yourself to get the win. And I'm not, you know, it can feel like you fleeced someone, but you're making fair trades, right? I'm not saying send out like scrubs for superstars here. Try and make fair deals to give yourself the best chance you can. So also, I should note the schedule grid, I have it stopping at week 24. These are the defaults for both these sites that I was using to talk about. The season does go till week 26. So there are 2 more weeks or a week and a half longer in the NBA season. So hopefully by ending by week 24, you're not already hitting too much of that player drain. Obviously, we hit things like Kawhi or, you know, Zion, where people are going to be resting. They're not playing certain back-to-backs and stuff like that. We've been dealing with that all season. But hopefully because you're ending your playoffs soon enough, you won't get the things, you know, the Spurs of old where it was just like your superstar was there all the time and now they're just like gone for the last couple of days. Anyone who's played fantasy basketball for a while is used to that. So that's about all the notes I have. I'm not seeing any questions right now. So thanks for watching. Go ahead, fill this out. Enjoy your All-Star break. I'll be back later to do more videos and try and talk about some more trade ideas. Feel free to post, you know, questions of, sometimes people post trades, this player for this player. That's great, but I'm always saying, like, is it head-to-head? Is it total points? What are you doing here? What do they have? So this might help you kind of think about that or even formulate that question for me. Or you can hit me up on Twitter at @BBallAnalyzer. You know, I'll be there checking both places. So thanks for watching. Live stream, camera didn't turn off, didn't break the internet. So have a good one, everyone. Thanks.